This is my workshop, and it's one bay of a 3-car garage. And it's been about 3 years since I started woodworking in there. Today, I'm finally gonna give you guys a shop tour, so let's go. So jumping right into it, on the left side of the workshop, I have my X-Tool D1 Pro dial laser. It's sitting inside of this enclosure, and it's actually sitting on top of my miter station, which we'll get to in a bit. I do plan on making a dedicated station for the X2 itself. And it will probably stay in this corner of the shop just because it's the closest to the garage door, so all the fumes go out that way. That means I had to move my miter station a little bit further down into the shop. Speaking of the miter station, this is a 13-foot long miter station. And if you follow my channel, you know that when I built this for the miter station to fall down to give me a long 13-foot clear area if I ever need it. This big drawer you see here on the left side of the miter station is actually a pull-out dual flip cart. The flip cart's actually home to my rigid oscillating sander and my DeWalt planer. One of the drawers on the bottom of the flip cart has these DIY outfeed rollers, which I could use on the top of the cart when I have longer stock to run through my planer. On the other drawer, I just have unfinished projects and future videos for you to watch, so make sure you subscribe. I do have build plans for the miter station and the dual flip cart, so make sure you check that link down below in the description. Above the miter station, I have these 2 cabinets, and this was one of the first things I made in this shop, other than the raggedy workbench I had back then. So the first cabinet here on the left, I have my PPE, my respirator, ear protection, gloves, all that stuff. I also have some rags up there for staining and finishing, and of course, a face mask. On the right cabinet, I have my stains and finishes and some paint stuff like paint triangles and whatnot. I know stains and finishes to be inside of a metal cabinet because of the fire hazard, but I had them there for 3 years now and so far no fire. So I'm just gonna keep them there until I'm able to get a metal cabinet. Above that, I keep my Ryobi collection. That's actually a rare set of Ryobi tools. It's worth around $600,000, so I don't really use them. On the right side cabinet of my miter station, I have more laser accessories like a rotary, I have some shipping boxes, and some more materials for laser engraving. So coming down the left wall of the shop, I have a open space which is currently occupied by some scrap plywood and other stuff. Eventually, I will put a drill press here whenever I get one, but because I don't have one, I have this here instead. In the back portion or the back wall of the shop is where I keep my wood. I have a few racks I bought off Amazon, and I stagger them to hold long and short stock. So far, it's worked great. Right underneath my lumber, I have a French cleat wall, which is just the beginnings of a French cleat wall. We'll add more onto this eventually. But right now, it has my clamps on here. I have my track saw tracks and with an extension, a couple of levels, and then I do have a sanding station and drill holding station there as well. Oh, and before I forget, if you look down real quick, I have some more wood to show you. So I bought a pallet online of alder, and I didn't think about how much wood I was gonna be getting and the amount of space that I don't have. So now it's sitting on the floor. So looking past the scraps and the junk, you're gonna find the CNC. This is a Onefinity Journeyman X50. I believe the cutting area is 48 by 32. And it is, I haven't used it too much actually in my videos. I might start implementing it more in the videos. It was more for another side hustle. But actually, I gotta tell you guys the truth here. The CNC kind of steps the boundary of the one big garage shop thing, but it's okay. We can still park 2 cars in here, so that's perfectly fine, right? Anyways, underneath the CNC, I have my old shop vac, and I have a dust collector cyclone thing back there. Eventually, I will build this out, but I just wanted to get it up and running. So moving back to the center of my shop, I have my Delta 36725. I think that's the model for this one. I bought it 3 years ago when I first started out, and I haven't had any problems with it. The only gripe, or I guess downside you could say about this saw that I've had is that it could be under power at times. But other than that, the saw's been perfectly fine to me. For my outfeed table, I use my 4x6 workbench. And if you go over to that cabinet over there, you can find my track saw. So like I said, the first drawer over here is gonna have my track saw. Just whip this out, flip this up, track saw, good to go. Pretty good. Over on this one's right here, I have 2 organizing bins. just some screws, washers, nuts, whatever I need, some hardware. This one, it's gonna be the same thing. I have some hinges here for some reason, but you know, extra whatever stuff I need to get organized right here. Underneath these, I have my router drawer, I guess you could call it, handheld router, and router bits. So this drawer with the bits for the router actually happens to be in front of the CNC, which is right behind me. So if I ever need to change a bit for a carve or anything like that, it's right here. Behind this cabinet door is actually just, it's just full of stuff right now until I could find something that I want to put that's dedicated to this location. On the opposite side of the workbench, I just have my measuring tools and a whole bunch of junk. It's not junk, I know where everything's at, but it's just very unorganized. I have some glues and some other stuff there. I'm not gonna bore you guys with all this, but it's just full of random stuff and receipts, as you can see. I do have some dovetail groups on the side of the workbench going down and across. I also have a couple up here. That's just for some dovetail clamps if I ever need to hold down some material or anything like that. Also, I do have some outlets here just in case I need to plug in a sander or a jigsaw or anything like that. It's right here for me. If you have a keen eye, you will probably notice that this groove is not parallel to this one. It's also not parallel to the edge of the table. So if you have OCD, you're welcome. Before I forget, if I ever need to do a large glue up, I have a giant toilet paper roll that I could go ahead and go over my entire workbench so I don't have to really clean up any glue off the top of my workbench. I could just rip this off and good to go. So going all the way around the shop, all the way back to the garage doors, there's this small wall here. And in front of that wall, I have my Rikon 10-inch bandsaw. Currently it doesn't have a blade in it because I broke it a couple months ago and I haven't replaced it. And then right behind that, I have my table sled, which I need to make a new one, but it's right there next to that spider that's right over there. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's there. Yeah, so if you didn't notice, I didn't mention anything about an AC or a heater. That's because I don't have that here. Usually the garage doors just stay open and I get the cooled breeze in. In the summer, it gets to around 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And in the winter, during the day, it gets to maybe around 50 degrees, the coldest. So this mini split would be nice, but I don't really need it. I also didn't mention dust collection. That's because I don't have like a dedicated dust collection system with like piping and all that stuff. I actually just have a mobile dust collector by Bug Tool. It just sits next to the table saw, and if I need to move it around the shop to get dust somewhere else, we'll just go ahead and do that. If you're interested in the miter station plans, I'll go ahead and leave them down below in the description. Or if you're interested in just watching me build it, I'll go ahead and leave it right here for you to click on.